Welcome to the Action Network podcast presented by DraftKings. I am your host, Evan Abrams, and I am joined, as always, by the one, the only, BA, Brandon Anderson, for some best bets for NFL Week 16. We'll get to those bets shortly, but first, I've got some fun trend and talking point because I just want to talk about one thing today because we have a show full of stuff. There's going to be a best bets circus. It's going to be awesome. But I'll start by just talking about the most ridiculous spread and total, I guess you would say, on the board, and that is the Texans and Raiders. So Texans are minus 14.5. You're like, why are we talking about this? I promise it's kind of interesting. Texans are 14.5. Total is 38. Be the first game with a spread of 14 or more and a total of 38 or less since the infamous Kendall Hinton game with the Broncos and Saints back in 2020. So we are basically comparing whatever Pete Carroll decides to throw out there to a wide receiver playing quarterback. If that is how you would like to play with the Raiders this week, that is your prerogative. So the Raiders would be the first team to be underdogs of 12.5 or more with a total of 38 or less in the same season. They've done it now twice since the 2011 Rams, who also did it in back-to-back weeks. So that is your comparison. And then Stuckey talked about this on the favorites earlier today, but usually teams, dogs, of double-digit dogs in back-to-back weeks, pretty good bets, 72 and 44 against the spread since 2003 in that second leg, including actually 3-0 this season. So enough of trying to talk you into taking the 14.5 because when they lose 38-0, I'm going to feel bad. But BA, what do you even make of this game?
It really is a ridiculous line. Like the team total implied for the Raiders is 10.5, and it was 12.5, I think, at open, and it just continues to drop. The crazy thing is the Raiders have gone under that, I think, 6 times already this season. So I look, when this, I was just kind of start from blank. Okay, what's the line? What's the total? And go from there. And immediately I was like, Raiders team total under. Like Raiders mine shaft. We're all in on no Raiders scoring. But 10.5 is so low. Like 10.5 is the alt under that I wanted. We did that a couple weeks ago with Raiders and had it all the way until the stupid last 10 points and that crazy cover at the end a couple weeks ago. So look, I can't play a straight under 10.5. Like that's what I think is going to happen. But so disrespectful. Geno Smith is back supposedly, and there's still we get the starting quarterback, and we're still expecting them to score 10, 11 points. It's crazy. I looked at shutout. The shutout odds at DraftKings is plus 950. That is a terrible number for a shutout. Less than 10 to 1 odds. Like normally in a typical game, it's like 30 or 40 to 1 by comparison. So then I was like, well, if it's that low, what if the Raiders just accidentally get a couple touchdowns? What if the Texans turn over inside the red zone or something? And I was like, well, maybe what about an alt over 24 or 27 the other way, just to be contrarian. Yeah, just no. I got nothing on that game. It's a goofy line. Texans, take care of business. Remember last week we said with the Bears, if you're different now, take care of business, get on with a win, and just get this game out of here. This is the Texans version of that. If you're really good now, as we all think you are, just wipe out the Raiders. I don't really care if you score 10 or 12 or whatever around there. Just get rid of them, move on with life, and let's get to the other games.
All right, fast forward time. I apologize to the audience for talking Raiders for this long. But if you'd like to tell some of the bets we're about to discuss, find the quick slip link in the podcast and video description or visit actionnetwork.com/bet now. Even better, sign up for Action Pro. Action Pro users get real-time alerts as soon as experts like Stuckey, Brandon Anderson, Chris Raybon, they all track picks in the app. You'll get real-time money percentages to see where the smart money's flowing, access to our player prop projections powered by Sean Kerner. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro to get started and use promo code POD20, POD20 for $20 off an annual subscription. It is that time of year, so maybe a good Christmas present. That's promo code POD20, $20 off, actionnetwork.com/pro. All right, it is time. The Week 16 Best Bet Circus is what I'm calling it today because there's just a ton of great stuff in here. Brandon, your pick six that you put out every week. This week, probably my favorite because you got some dogs in there, and I'm a dog guy. So what are you doing with your pick six this week?
Yeah, so look, normally we throw in 5 favorites and maybe one underdog, or try to get a few shorter favorites, and we get ourselves to a 5 to 1, maybe an 8 to 1. We've hit a couple in that range. This week, a little something different. We're hoping for a Christmas miracle this week. We're going with four underdogs this week, plus 2 favorites, one of whom is the Saints. So we got Saints favorites with the Lions. Well, that's our two favorites. And then Titans, Dolphins, Patriots, and Colts. That's what we're doing this week. It is, last I checked at DraftKings, 114-1 odds. So this is like pizza money. And let's see if we can get a little extra Christmas money, get that big screen for the wall or whatever it is that you've been looking for. This is that sort of bet. 3 rookie quarterbacks. We know on Six Pack, they love to talk about the terrible quarterbacks. We got Tyler Shuck, we got Cam Ward, and we have debut Quinn Ewers for the Dolphins, plus 44-year-old grandpa Phillip Rivers. That's the group this week. Truly, we will need a Christmas miracle. We're not going to talk Colts today. That, of course, is the Monday game. Evan, you and I will talk about that one Sunday night. That's truly a best bet. I really like the Colts in that game. We'll get to that one on Sunday. We'll get to some of these other games here as well. But that's the play. You pointed this out. I think this is a good play. I'll let you talk about it. If lots of underdogs here, good idea to maybe play the ones you like individually as well, and or round robin them. Talk to me about round robin.
Yeah, the way I'd probably do it with 6 is I'd probably sprinkle very, very light. Obviously, everyone's going to parlay it, understood. But I would sprinkle probably a little bit under that 6, like a very tiny bit on the 5. And then I'd probably touch the 2s and 3s, ignore the 4, especially with this type of game. It's just too expensive. And that's the thing with round robins. It gets very expensive. You try to play all the legs, but I'm just giving you advice. So you're going to do whatever you want to do out there. With a number at 114-1, just have a little fun with it, some pizza money, and hopefully some of those dogs come through the door.
Yeah, it should be fun.
All right.
We close out with a primetime game Sunday night and Monday night. So we'll be having some fun. Nothing on Thursday or Saturday. Of course, Thursday is already big game tonight as we're recording, but by the time you were listening, that one will have already happened. We'll know a lot more about what the NFC looks like. Sad to not really be able to do Rams Seahawks. So I'll be honest, I don't have a bet for that game anyways. It's rainy, it's windy. I will be happy to know that fill in the blank won the game by the time we've listened to this. So that's a fun one. We got 2 on Saturday. We're going all Sunday games from here.
Yeah, actually, you brought up something interesting. The fact that those are Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football also kind of gives you an out. Probably more of an out with the Colts, but if the 5 hit before Indy, you can obviously touch San Francisco at 114-1. Lots of different ways to get out of this, especially if you hit 3 of the 4, 3 or the first 4. All right, best bets time. Let's start with the first game here. You're going after Detroit and Pittsburgh. I think I know your angle.
Yeah, give me the Lions. This is my favorite pick of the week pretty easily, actually. So give me Lions -6.5. There's still a couple of those out there. Take the 7 if you need to. And we're going escalator. We'll get to that in a second. So Lions home against the Steelers. First glance, Steelers rah-rah spot. We know at Action Network we love the rah-rah underdog Mike Tomlin. This is not the spot for it. There's so many underdog spots for the Steelers, you kind of have to narrow the field. And normally, it's a better spot if the Steelers are at home, on the road here. If they're a short underdog, they're a touchdown here. If it's a division game, wrong again. If it's after a loss, nope, we just watched Monday. Like, these are all the wrong spots for rah-rah, and it's the right spot for Detroit. The stat we've talked about so often, 2 of them, in fact. Jared Goff indoors with the Lions, 37-15-1 against the spread, 71%. And then your stat that you bring up often, after a loss, since November 22 now, 15 straight wins for the Lions coming off a loss. 14-1 ATS, covering by 11 points a game. So these aren't even close. Like, they are showing up. They're taking care of business. And Detroit, right now, not a playoff team, but they still pretty much control their fate if they win out. I think they're like 98% or something. And I still think they have a really good chance. And I think they think that too. This offense looks elite. They lost last week to the Rams, but they kind of held their own. The offense was good. Top 5 rushing and passing lately by DVOA. The big flaw is the secondary. That's why they lost to the Rams. Everybody's hurt back there. Both safeties are out. Terry Arnold is out. Well, guess what? Pittsburgh, the perfect opponent for that. The Steelers, they want to run and they want to throw short. They throw short over 3/4 of their passes, more than any team in the league. You beat Detroit going deep. You beat those safeties over the top, those backups out there. Pittsburgh wants to go heavy. They want to run. They want to force you to get your linebackers on the field, and they want to dump it off with Rodgers. That is not how you beat Detroit. They want their linebackers in the field anyway. So Lions, I think this is a great defensive matchup for them. They've been top 5 by DVOA at home defensively. Pittsburgh, big home road splits too, the other direction. Top 8 at home, bottom 8 on the road like they are here. So I think this just goes sideways for the Steelers. Detroit, I think, can run on a pretty injured front for Pittsburgh. Short week for Pittsburgh as well. They've not defended middle of the field well. That is how Detroit has lived, Ben Johnson or not. Pittsburgh, really, they're who we thought they were. Their defense is good, not great. Their offense, not good enough. So in the last calendar year right now, Pittsburgh has 9 losses by double digits. Here are the opponents.
Wow.
Seattle, Green Bay, Chargers, and the Bills. That's this year. So what's that? Good teams. Pittsburgh, you play a good team, you lose by double digits. Last year, again, not even last season, calendar year. So December and January, double digits. Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens twice. Again, you play a good team, Pittsburgh, you're getting crushed. Double digits, 7 of those 9 by 14 or more points. Detroit, every win this season, all 8 of them by at least a touchdown. 6 of their 8 by 13 or more. Average margin of victory, 22 points a game. I think this is a big, comfortable win for the Lions. Since Dan Campbell took the play calling over, they're top 5 in pace as well. That's good. More pace, more chances to be better. Detroit's the better team. Lions, minus 6.5. And then here are the escalators. Minus 12.5, plus 186. Minus 20.5 at 6-1. I think the Lions win big. We've seen them do that often under Dan Campbell. And I think they kind of show us who the Steelers are because we already know who the Steelers are.
Yeah, you mentioned really all the great points here. I'll add one more before we can roll on. But obviously Lions led last week, pretty much blew the lead and then kind of gotten blown out by the Rams. So under Dan Campbell, when he's blown a lead of 7+ points in his previous game and loses 11-3 against the spread, covered 6 in a row. Not only is this awful loss, but it's off a good situation for Detroit. So I think a bunch of us like the blowout here, and it's just not the right spot for Pittsburgh. All right. Going to, honestly, this is one of my favorite games of the week. I liked it at 4.5 on open, now down to 3. Of course, we're talking about Chiefs-Titans. What are you doing with this monstrosity?
We are backing the Titans. I looked to try to pull out the Titans t-shirt for today, but guess what? I don't have any Titans clothing items. You're just going to trust me on this one. Titans money line, plus 145, home against the Chiefs. Man, life comes at you fast. We are backing the 2-12 Titans against the mighty Chiefs in a December game. A week ago, I would not have believed this. I would have thought, throw the Chiefs into the pick 6, easy one, don't need to worry about it. But look, the Titans are kind of playing not horribly, more bad than awful. Cam Ward, pretty solid season for rookie number 1. The offensive line starting to gel, finally coming together with Callahan down the stretch. Tony Pollard has run well the last couple of weeks. If you look at just like the last 6 weeks for the Titans, they got blown out by Jacksonville, but they won in Cleveland. That's not nothing. And they were pretty competitive against the Chargers, Texans, Seahawks, and Niners. Look, that's the teams we just said the Steelers are losing to by double digits. And the Titans are actually hanging in closer in these games. Their pass defense is terrible, but Jeffrey Simmons and Tavondre Sweat, the 2 tackles, they've been as good as any tackle player in the league, and they've made a great run defense. So you need to pass to beat them. Well, guess what? Kansas City just lost their passer. Patrick Mahomes, unfortunately, already surgery. We talked about how he's eliminated now 6 weeks earlier than he ever has before. Gardner Minshew season now. So this line was 10.5 Sunday morning. You mentioned it. It was 4.5 once Mahomes got hurt. It's now down to 3. That's why I'm just going straight for the kill, right to the money line. I think really, should they, like, how far do you drop the Chiefs from 10.5 to how far without Mahomes? And I just think I'm willing to bet on this not being enough. Really, that's the play is. I think it's not enough. This is the team that's had the target on their backs every game for 7 years. They're every team's Super Bowl, and I think that they are exhausted, and it's over. The season is over, and I don't think that when you come out here and you're playing a game where they've never had a game like this. They had a game like it last year, week 18, that didn't matter. And guess what? They lost like 1,000-0 against the Broncos in that game. If you're Chris Jones, if you're Travis Kelce, those guys are going to give you full effort this game in a game that doesn't matter, eliminated. I don't really see it. Are the coaches going to call their best plays? Is the defense going to push? We've seen defenses kind of give up in spots like this. I just think the knock-on effects of the loss of belief is going to matter here. And Minshew, so much not Mahomes, not just as a thrower to hurt the pass defense, but that offensive line missing all their top 4 tackles now, and still looks like Trey Smith at guard. Mahomes is so good at navigating the pocket, scrambling, keeping plays alive. We saw for years with Aaron Rodgers, not anymore, how Aaron Rodgers elevated the line play, how much better they were with him. I think we're about to find out just how bad this line is when there's a human quarterback back there, not Mahomes anymore. I think they're going to have to run the ball more to protect Minshew. That's not good against a good run defense. Those receivers haven't been reliable. Guess what? They're going to be worse with Gardner Minshew. So this is just a bet against the Chiefs, whoever it is, and whoever happens to be called the Titans this week. The Titans don't need a tank. They've got their quarterback. In fact, they probably want to win. You want to develop culture. You want to develop your quarterback. You want to save your coaching staff's jobs. They've already fired one guy this year. The rest of the guys would like to stick around. And look, if you're the Titans, this is still the Chiefs. This still counts. You still get to beat the Chiefs in December. You care about this one. I like the Titans plus 145. And I do have a kind of related escalator, but I'm going to let you respond to the Titans pick first.
Yeah, I completely agree. On the favorites, we put our parlay together this morning. Titans money line in there. So we are all Tennessee fans at the moment. I'll give you some stats on the quarterbacks. Gardner Minshew, since the start of last season, 59 QBs have had at least 100 plays at quarterback. Minshew's 6.2 average depth of target is the 3rd lowest behind Dylan Gabriel and DTR. So that is the perspective of passing it downfield. And then on the other side, some of the things I kind of like about Cam Ward, red zone this year. He's actually 27 of 40, 68%, 9 touchdowns, 1 pick, 100 passer rating. So if we believe Tennessee can move the ball and get into that area, those are some good numbers that I like. And also, it's been mentioned by Stuckey. It's been mentioned by other people. Tennessee home road is pretty drastic, especially when you look at Cam Ward. 12 points higher passer rating, 9 percentage points higher completion percentage at home versus road. So to me, all pointing towards Tennessee. And again, forget the number. I think you're right when you get to this low. Just hit the money line.
Yeah, so if the Titans win the game, then that leads me kind of a roundabout way to get to something that my gears started turning on our Sunday night recap. We said, what are the things that come out of the Chiefs here? They happen to play the Titans and the Raiders coming up. Couldn't that impact the number 1 pick? Well, the gears kept moving, and I got to my extra point in my my article this week. And my extra point is this: Browns, worst record in the league. It's 22-1 right now. So here's the setup: the Titans, Giants, and Raiders are 2-12. The Browns are 1 game back, 1 game ahead. However you want to frame it, they've got 1 more win. So we need Browns to lose out. We need Titans, Giants, Raiders to win at least 1. If that happens, the Browns get the number 1 pick. Well, here's the setup. The Titans play the Chiefs in this game, and we think they can win, and the Chiefs still play the Raiders. In Week 18, maybe the Raiders can win under a similar premise. We back on the Raiders here, but look, the Chiefs don't have a lot to offer right now, and next week, Raiders-Giants play each other. Someone has to win that game, so now you have winnable games on the schedule. The Giants have 3 games against already eliminated teams. I know Raybon's on the Giants this week against the Vikings. Maybe that's a win for them. They have their quarterback. They can win some games. The Browns, I don't really need to tell you why they're going to lose games. They're worst on offense in the league, worst special teams in the league. Shadur Sanders, pick an advanced metric, he's last. It's not good. Let's just say the Browns don't have their quarterback. They need to lose some games and get the high pick. And also, importantly, the defense has slipped from elite to really good, and that doesn't always matter. But if your offense and special teams are worst in the league, that matters. So I think they lose out. You need 1 win each from Giants, Raiders, Titans. I know that sounds crazy, but Titans win this game we just talked about. Giants win this week, and then the Raiders beat the Giants next week. Suddenly the Browns are in control for number 1 pick. At FTN, they have the Browns 20% for number 1, second highest of any team. We're getting 22-1 for worst record. And I will add a caveat. Worst record and number 1 pick are not quite the same thing. We could get a Browns number 1 pick and still have to tie on worst record with 2 or 3, a couple other teams. And we're still going to split our bet. You get a split payout, but 22-1, we've got some wiggle room there to still enjoy the split. So fade the Browns. This is a way to invest in the Titans as an escalator. Browns 22-1, worst record in the NFL.
Yes, for any baseball fans out there, I think this is the perfect Tungsten O'Doyle, which is basically Myles Garrett breaks the sack record and they end up with the worst record and number one pick. Like the best thing on one side and the absolute worst thing on the other. That seems utterly impossible. But I think you're right. The Giants could easily even beat the Vikings this week, which would completely go down your path here. So Titans, Giants, they've got the opportunity. So I like where you're headed. All right. Let's go to what seems to be our favorite bet on the board every single week, and the thing that cashed your tickets last week. I couldn't imagine. What are you doing with Buffalo and Cleveland?
Yeah, same thing we did last week. Let's run it back. Skip the first half, play the second half. Bills second half, -4 at the Browns. I honestly thought, like, oh man, the Bills are 10.5 now on the full game. I thought surely they'll put this like 6 or 7 and they'll have taken our bet away. But no, they've loaded that up in the first half and ignored all the trends that we are betting on here. So yeah, let's run it back. Full game line, I think a little too high. I'd probably make this closer to a touchdown. So I don't want the whole game. 20-mile-an-hour looking winds, below freezing, total at like 40. This looks like a mess. Like this screams just get the win and get out of here, and it might be ugly along the way. Browns defense a lot better at home. Bills just way worse on the road. They've been almost a 500 team on the road for like 3 seasons running. Their offense is much more league average than elite. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if they get another one of those slow starts. We just saw that last week, 3-11 ATS in the first half for Buffalo. The Browns actually have a winning ATS record in the first half, but second half, that's when it all changes. Buffalo, 10-4 ATS, Browns 4-10 ATS, the exact opposite. And that's been the Josh Allen story year after year. Now 81, 40, and 3 ATS for his career, 67% cover rate, 2 out of every 3. I think Cleveland's run defense can kind of keep Buffalo in its sights maybe for a while. Maybe Quinshawn Judkins runs on them a little bit. We know how bad Buffalo's run D is. Eventually, we know it's going to happen in this game. The Bills are better. They're going to come out ahead. And it kind of works either way. Either they're ahead anyway, they win the first half finally, and then we just run and protect the lead. We don't need to worry about Shadur on the back door here. That's not really the concern. Or either you are struggling and it's a close game or even trailing, and now you love the bet. Now you just need Josh Allen to hit the gas like we know he can. Bills defense much better with the lead. That makes sense. That's forcing you to pass. They don't want you to run. So as soon as the Browns fall behind in this game, that just gets worse and worse from there. I think Buffalo will find a few explosives. I think they'll find a way. So rather than do the full game, way under the 10, the 7, skip all the key numbers. Bills second half, -4 at the Browns. No alts, no extra plays, just Bills second half this week.
The thing that surprised me, and I guess it probably shouldn't have, is how good Buffalo's been in the third quarter. Even how bad the first half has been. Third quarter, they're 9-5 this year, 13-7 last year, 11-8 the year before, 33-20 against the spread third quarter last 3 seasons. So right out of the locker room, no matter what the score is, they seem to play pretty well. You mentioned second half, the one I like better. As a favorite of over a touchdown, full game, 7.5 or more. Josh is also 25-13 second half. So forget the spread. Don't even worry about that. Given the situation, he's just as good, which is kind of exactly what you want to see here. My thought is I think Cleveland could even be winning in the first half. Like if you wanted to mess with a Cleveland halftime, Buffalo full-time, I wouldn't blame you. It's an interesting situation.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't have enough faith in Cleveland to really want to invest in them. So, yeah, I think the line is pretty high. I don't mind them just hanging around. I don't like Cleveland. And I literally just bet them to win worst record like 3 seconds before this. So I think it's first half Cleveland or nothing if I'm going to play something with first half, but I'll just stick with Buffalo second half. And, so you can't be aggressive in every single bet. Sometimes you just want to get a win and get to the next one. So we're trying to get the win here.
Correct. Yeah, and I also agree with Junkins. Like, I think he could score a touchdown. I think there's opportunities there. Buffalo's rush defense, like you said, is just ridiculously horrible. All right, let's go to that Vikings and Giants game. You're playing a very similar situation here, so what are you doing?
I am. I'm doing the exact same play. Vikings second half, -1.5 here. So again, get under the number, -3. This caught my eye early because it's hard to get away from Vikings. I liked them last week against Dallas. I didn't trust my gut, didn't play them. And they obviously got the win there. Look, the Vikings are just a little bit better. The Vikings are not an awful team. The Giants are much closer in that direction. Minnesota's still top 10 defense, DVOA on the season. They're missing some guys now. Grenard is out. Metellus is out for the season, but they're still a good defense. That's the best unit on the field. And Minnesota's run the ball pretty well lately. Last 6 weeks, they're now a top 10 DVOA rushing offense. That line, you never quite know who's going to be healthy or play, but we know how bad the Giants' run defense is. So Minnesota playing defense, Minnesota running the football. That sounds like a pretty good formula for a win, especially a good way to win in the second half. You get Jackson Dart against all the Brian Flores pressure. We know how rookie quarterbacks can struggle in that sort of situation. And so why second half? So Vikings -3. We want to skip the -3. I don't really need to invest in the Vikings at the key number. And I'll be honest, as a Vikings fan, Vikings Giants is like cold chills down my spine. This is not exactly a matchup I enjoy. But if you're a Vikings fan, there's like 12 teams like that in the NFL. So you can't just not bet any of those. But I think either the Vikings run it up and you get to run on the bad defense in the second half, protecting your lead. That sounds good to me. Or again, you get the comeback push. So similar case with the Bills. And then why second half? Giants are way better offensively early in the game. They're number 4 DVOA in the first quarter. They've really got those scripted plays early. The Vikings, they've been hit or miss. Some days it's good, some it's not so good. And the Giants' defense is worst in the league in the fourth quarter. We've seen that a few times, right? They gave up like 100 points in the Broncos loss and a few others in there. Giants first half, winning record ATS. Vikings 5-9. Giants second half, 4-10 ATS, tied for worst in the league. Vikings 9-5. So skip the first half, just the second half. This one, I'd be a little more open to the thing we just talked about with Browns, Bills, and kind of saying, okay, maybe Giants early, Vikings comeback, something like that. I don't mind investing a bit more both ways here, but the play for me, it's Vikings Vikings second half -1.5. It's +105 at the Giants.
The way I might play it is I might just wait to see if the Giants take the lead early and then just jump on Minnesota full game. Rather than, because the spread, you're right, the spread is super tight, and that probably I would assume the odds on that aren't spectacular compared to like Cleveland winning the first half, which is kind of why I was thinking about it. But the thing that also, I'll give you one stat before we can move on, and it goes exactly to your storyline, which is first half, second half. In the first half, Jackson Dart, 102 passer rating, 8 touchdowns, 1 pick. Second half, he's down to an 83 passer rating. Difference of 19 points, which is honestly incredible half to half. So something is definitely going on there. And then you talk about the blitz on defense with Minnesota. I think that's something that can get to them later in the game. So I agree, and I like it. And I do think the Giants could start with, touchdown, first or second drive, and then you try to make some adjustments. So I am all over it. All right. One more best bet here before we head to the lightning round. We're talking Chargers and Cowboys. To me, this one is a little bit difficult. I was trying to handicap this one earlier in the week, look for some notes, some ideas, some stats. This one is really tight, and there's some key angles here, but how are you taking Chargers Cowboys?
Yeah, we could put all these games together because I'm taking one more second half angle here. I'm going to take the under in just the second half. It's under 24.5. So let me get there. So Dallas obviously out of the playoffs now. We just mentioned with the Vikings game. Will they even show up? Like there's a chance Dallas just mails this one in, and that's how we hit the under, and that's a pretty easy decision if that's the case. If Dallas shows, though, like you said, pretty interesting matchup. Very strength on strength, weakness on weakness. So you get Dallas offense, Chargers defense. In particular, Dallas's passing game. That's the thing we know they do especially well. The run game had been quite good with Clayton Adams, but it's fallen off a lot in the middle of the season. I think that's a problem here because the Chargers can be run on, but their pass defense is top 5 DVOA. So Cowboys offensive line fading a little bit. They don't run that well on the light boxes they're going to see here. We went Pickens escalator last week. Pickens is lost right now, and I don't think he's going to get long passes here. I actually looked at under longest catches for Pickens, but his numbers are marked way down for this week. I just think Dallas could have a hard time getting to their offense here consistently. And I know Dallas at home, scary thing because we know how good they are scoring, especially early in games. That's, again, why we're looking at second half here. Dallas defensively, that's the weakness on weakness here. We talked a lot about, Dallas, they did the trade for Quinnen Williams. The defense is better now. Still bottom 5 pass defense. Their run defense is a little bit better. Like they're probably like an average, no longer bad run defense. Well, the Chargers offense is terrible right now. Bottom 5 DVOA over the last 6 weeks. Bottom 10 running, bottom 10 passing. Their offensive line is shot. Like they got nothing there They're playing all backups basically, and Herbert just can't get anything going. And Dallas actually does rush the passer a little bit as well. So I just see a spot where both offensive lines are not in great shape. And I could see the Chargers, if they get ahead here, that's the sort of script where the Chargers take the lead and they just kind of shut it down and run the clock out in the second half. We've seen Harbaugh do that a lot. And Harbaugh and Herbert, usually good against under 500 teams ATS. Dak, usually not good against over 500 teams ATS. So I would lean Chargers if I was picking a side. I'm not. I want the under, but I'm terrified of the full game under. Dallas first half overs, 13-1 on the season. I want no part of stepping in front of that train. So just get rid of the first half. Give me the second half. Second half under 24.5. And then I'm going to give you a prop on this one too as it kind of transitions into our lightning round. I think this is a Justin Herbert running game. He already has a career high in rushes and yards, even with 3 games left. He's averaging 30 yards a game on the ground. That's almost double his career. He's had 19 rushing yards or more in 71% of his games, 10 out of 14. He's had 57 yards in 4 of the last 10. Dallas, we know you play your fantasy quarterbacks against the Cowboys. Well, it's true for rushing too. They allow the most touchdowns and 4th most yards rushing to quarterbacks, 23 yards or more over half of their games. So Herbert, over 13.5 rushing yards. That's it. He could do that with one good scramble, and he has often this season. And then a little escalator, 30 rushing yards, plus 375, 50 rushing yards, 14-1. Again, he's done that for the last 8. So that, I think, is a really bad number for a guy that's going to be under pressure, have to do some things on his own. And if you want to play the anytime touchdown as well, only 1 this year for Herbert, but 14 in his career. Dallas has allowed 7 rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks, including half of their last 6 games. It's 6-1 at DraftKings for anytime touchdown. I like the yards best because we don't want a lot of scoring here, of course, since we have the second half under. But I think Herbert should run, and I don't think we're going to get a lot of scoring in the second half. So second half under 24.5, Herbert over 13.5 rushing yards, and then the escalator from there.
Yeah, I'll take the under part first. So the thing that struck me was fourth quarter is the only Dallas quarter that is above 500 to the under. First quarter they're 8-6. Second quarter they're 11-3. Third quarter they're 8-6. That's 27-15 combined. So found that kind of intriguing. And then you're completely right with the Herbert stuff. Even last week where he really didn't rush at all, you kind of have to look at Dallas's defense. Only 5 teams in the NFL have allowed more scrambles than Dallas's defense. And Dallas's defense, second in the NFL in avoided sacks. So basically, get in there, quarterback gets out of it, and starts rolling around. So I think there's actually going to be plenty of opportunities for him to get yardage. And honestly, I was completely wrong a few weeks ago. He has the hand injury. He's out there smashing into the hand and getting as many yards as he can. So that is not in his way. So I was very scared off, but I definitely shouldn't be based off of what we've seen. So Herbert rushing yards at 13.5 does seem kind of low. All right, let's keep rolling here. We have now the lightning round. You were going to start with, honestly, the game of the week that no one can see, Jaguars Broncos. What are you doing?
Yeah, I like Jags Broncos. I bet Denver on the hot read -2.5. It hit the key number already on Sunday at 3. It's stuck right there, though. So I'm actually going to come back on the other side a little bit here. I'm going to play a Jacksonville first quarter and some kind of escalators from there. So let me get the setup. Denver, of course, beats the Packers last week, one of the big games of the week. Jacksonville, they spoiled my Jets pick real good. That one was over in a hurry. Jacksonville blew out the Jets. So the line hasn't moved a lot because suddenly the Jags are red hot. Top 3 DVOA last 6 weeks. Defense looks amazing. Top 5 against the run and the pass. The rushing offense that we thought was looking good early, that's a Liam Cohen staple. That's gone away. That's not what's hot right now. They're 30th running. They're top 5 passing, though. So do I trust that? Do I believe in those metrics? DVOA, what I like about it is it takes opponent strength of schedule into effect. So it says, okay, who are you beating? Are you just running bad teams off the map? The Jets, the Titans. That's who 2 of these Jacksonville's wins are. They played Arizona. They only won by a field goal in overtime. That's not impressive to me because we've seen Arizona getting crushed in some of these games recently. The big wins and why these metrics are looking so good for Jacksonville, they beat the Colts and they beat the Chargers by a ton of points in both of those games in like the last month or so. Well, we know what that means. These are not your old Chargers or Colts anymore. These are very different teams that DVOA is not really counting for. No Daniel Jones anymore in this game. Oh, I see the tackles are hurt. We're kind of falling apart. Oh, Chargers lost their offensive line. None of that is really being factored in. So the Jags, they're starting to earn a little respect for me. They are in the 1 seed race. That's why this game matters here. But I still think these are kind of different weight classes. I think Denver is just a little bit better at everything. Both defenses, I trust a little bit more than the offenses here. I don't know if I'm ready yet to say Jacksonville can score on this Denver team. I mentioned their run game fading. Lawrence has not been great against pressure. I don't really trust their line yet, and we know Denver's going to get after you. So I still like Denver. I don't think it's going to be easy. I'm not sure it's going to be early either. We've talked about this. Denver has 12 wins. All but one have come from behind on the season. Broncos, second half, 9-5 ATS, but sub 500 in the first half. They just don't show up early. First quarter DVOA on defense, below league average, 18th. Bottom 5 on offense. Then after that, they're top 10 on offense the rest of the game. For whatever reason, the scripted stuff both ways is not going for Denver. Here's their last 6 first quarters. Down 0-3 last week, down 0-7 the week before. We got a 6-3 and a 3-0 lead. We got a tie 7-7. That's the one time. That was the Raiders game when they didn't actually have to come from behind. We got another 0-3. They're averaging 2.7 points a game in those 6 games. They only won in those 6 first quarters, obviously. They only led on 2 of them. Jacksonville, top 5 offense in the first quarter. I think their script is working. Liam Cohen's script is working. They're 9-5 ATS in the first half. So give me Jacksonville first quarter. I'm going to take the money line, plus 110. So we've got to get the win here. There's a plus a half out there at minus 140. I'm not paying 50 cents in case I get a tie. If you're that uncertain about the bet, you should just skip the bet. So give me the plus 110. We still get our money back on a money line tie anyways. And then there's a little mini escalator. If you want the comeback win, if Jacksonville's winning the first quarter, but you still like Denver, that's where I'm at on this. Plus 170 at DraftKings for a Denver win from behind. Again, that's all but one of Denver's wins. And then if you want to just put the whole thing together, Jacksonville first quarter, Denver full game, plus 365 at DraftKings. And that's really, you're kind of threading the needle. Jacksonville's got a lead early, and then you've got 3 quarters for Denver to come back and take the lead. And look, Jacksonville doesn't even need to lead big early. Remember last week we did Patriots-Bills, and we're like, okay, Patriots first half. Hey, whoa, 21-0, slow down. We need some Bills stock here. It'd be great if Jacksonville could just 3-0 in the first quarter. How about that? How about stop at 3-0 and let Denver go from there? That's what I'm hoping for in the bet here. So Jags first quarter, and I still think Denver sets up well. So I'm not backing off the hot read here. I just think it could be a slow start for Denver. That's what they've been doing all season.
Everything kind of matches what you said. Last 4 seasons, Jags above 500 ATS in the first quarter, all 4 seasons. Denver, honestly, this kind of surprised me. 3-4 first quarter ATS at home this year, 2-6 first quarter at home last year. So really not been consistent starting games fast. And then this one kind of blew me away. So Bo Nix in the first quarter this year, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, and a 78 passer rating. Of 27 quarterbacks with 50-plus pass attempts in the first quarter, he is last in passer rating. 27 quarterbacks. So, I mean, when you say starting slow, all the numbers back it up, and that's where we're going with this one. So, I mean, you did it last week with New England and Buffalo. Let's just repeat. Let's do it again with Jacksonville and Denver. All right, let's keep rolling here. Now you're talking this game. I mean, I think we've already seen, we've got 2 of these left, but Tampa, Carolina. I mean, when you look at the matchup and you look at how each of these players have done against each other since we've seen so many of these matchups, one thing stands out, and you found it.
Yeah, it's Mike Evans season. You want Mike Evans against the Panthers. He's back. He looked good. So important game, obviously. I mean, relatively. If you're an NFC South fan, it's a really important game. If you're a fan of real football, it's just finding out which team we're going to bet against in the first round. But the Panthers probably got to sweep the Bucs now. Standing in Carolina's way, very funny. Former Panthers quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield and then Sam Darnold next week in between. So that's what's coming. This is another game that sets up as a first half, second half thing. I'm not going to play it because I don't really trust either of these teams right now. But Carolina really bad in the first half, where the Bucks have a winning ATS record, and then flip that in the second half. So if you want to do a first half, second half, we got a lot of those this week. This one sets up that way as well. I kind of wanted Bucks here, but my numbers don't agree with me. My numbers actually make Carolina favored. So I just don't trust either team right now. Bucks passing defense has fallen way off. Their run defense is looking a little shaky. Carolina, the thing that has been good lately is their passing. I'm not betting on Bryce Young. I'm not really trusting that right now. So back to Old Faithful. Just give me Mike Evans. Last week, back with a vengeance. 6 catches, 132 on 12 targets. Kind of thought they'd ease him in. Apparently not. That's just wide receiver 1 and then some. My guy wants to keep his 1,000-yard streak going. He's got a long ways to go, but we'll be in good shape if he does it. Panthers, bottom 3 DVOA against wide receiver 1. That sure looks like Evans. You mentioned it. Last 10 games for Evans against Carolina, 7 catches, 107 yards a game on 11 targets, 11 touchdowns in those 10 games. He's had at least 1 score, 7 of the 10, multiple scores in 3 of those. He's had at least 77 yards, all but 1 of those 10 games. In Carolina, from week 5 forward, so last 10 games for them, they've allowed the opposing top wide receiver touchdown threat, is what I'm calling it, 8 touchdowns in those 10 games. So 7 dudes, 1 of them got 2. Those guys are averaging 93 yards a game, the ones that score a touchdown as well. So how are we betting it? Mike Evans, touchdown. That's what you bet for Mike Evans. Plus 185, please. That's a terrible number. Evans, here's what I love. I'm going to give you some yards as well, but we don't even need to have a huge amount of snaps for Evans to get the touchdown. He only played 55% snaps last week. He's got extra rest now. I think he'll play a little bit more, but we can just get some red zone production and still get the touchdown. That's, Chris Carter, Vikings, all he does is catch touchdowns. Berman used to say that about him. I think Mike Evans is the new version of that. All he does is catch touchdowns. He's going to be a Hall of Famer for all the touchdowns. 2 touchdowns is 13-1. Got to play that as well because he keeps doing that in his career. A little bit on the yards, but I'll play more on the touchdowns. 55.5. Give me the over on that. He's over in 8 of his last 10 healthy games. And those touchdown receivers against Carolina, I mentioned 93 yards per game. Evans, in those last 10 games, 89 yards or better in 8 out of 10. So a little escalator, 90 yards, plus 320. Remember, he hit that one last week. So no touchdown last week. My man's thirsty. He needs some touchdowns. The Panthers are the perfect antidote. So Mike Evans, give me a touchdown or 2.
Yeah, the 2 underlying factors why I also like this, it's going to be 60 degrees, virtually no wind. So with that situation, game temperature should be perfect. And I honestly kind of like the fact that Baker's been really terrible lately, truly bad, because I feel like that means he might be forcing it to Mike Evans. No, I honestly, because the thing that always scares me about Tampa Bay, they've got a million guys. And especially getting McMillan back, and I don't know what the status of Otten is, but either way, there's a lot of people in that game that potentially takes away fantasy things here or there. Mike Evans in this situation, I feel like one that might trump it and might be good. So I like that angle, and those are the 2 angles I would take on this one as well. All right, let's keep rolling here. We got 2 more left before we get to the look ahead. Bengals and Dolphins. I mean, when I say best bet circus, this is what I was referring to. Brandon, take it away because you got a bunch here.
Yeah, we got the whole 3-ring circus for this one. This somehow became my favorite game of the week to bet. So both teams are out. So we don't need to necessarily do a side here. We get Quinn Ewers starting in for Tua. I mentioned I still took Miami money line as part of the Christmas pick 6 here. It's plus 185. I just can't get anywhere near the Bengals being 4.5-point favorites. I would honestly still, by my numbers, I have Miami favored in this game. So I have to be able to play Miami. They've been, by the numbers, the far better team lately. The Bengals offense, not even really that great since Burrow got back. They were better with Flacco by a lot of the numbers. We don't know if we're getting T. Higgins in this game. Bengals offense worse on the road. Miami's is better at home. So if Chase and Burrow do what they should light this defense up. So that's why I'm going to stay away. I don't mind the Miami plus 185 money line, but I kind of just think this is a shootout. So if I don't really want to play either team, because who really knows if the Bengals or Dolphins show up, let me just play some overs for a shootout. So I've got 3 for you, and probably they won't surprise you considering the Bengals are involved. First one, Achane. give me some Achane stock. We tried it on Monday night. We tried for the big rushing yards. He got a lot of yards, just not all rushing. 60 yards rushing, but 67 receiving on 6 catches. And that's been the Achane thing this year. He's a very dual threat. 8 games now with 5 catches or more. Well, we know the Bengals are awful defensively. Number 1 most running back fantasy points, including number 1 most receiving points to fantasy running backs. I think you use Achane to protect your new quarterback. You either run with him or you dump it off to him. Just get him the ball, let him do his thing. So we're going combined yards here. Most books you can bet rushing plus receiving yards. That's what I want. Last 4 games for Achane. Here's his combined yards. 127 on Monday night. Before that, 134, 165, and 225. Average 163 combined yards per game. He is a workhorse. He's the guy you want in fantasy right now. He's putting up huge numbers. We need just 120 combined yards is even odds at DraftKings. And then some escalator play, 150 at plus 277. He's done that 3 of his last 8 healthy games. Again, 150 combined yards, rushing plus receiving. And then all the way to the top, 200 combined is about 15-1. 230 is the highest I've found. That's 43-1. He does have 2 games of 225 combined yards. One of them was a month ago. So we're probably going to need a couple long ones. But it's the Bengals and it's Achane. So we like the setup there. One more Dolphins prop, and then I'll let you kind of interject here before I do a Bengals prop. If it's the Bengals, we're playing tight ends. Come on. You play your tight end against the Bengals. You don't even need me to tell you that at this point. And I know we're betting on Quinn Ewers again here, but quarterbacks who don't know what they're doing yet love the tight end. You love the dump off to your tight end, and I love Darren Waller scoring touchdowns. 6 healthy games this year, 6 touchdowns, even though he's not even playing half the snaps. Here's the Bengals. If you could play fantasy football and have drafted Bengals opposing tight end, that would literally be like the number 1 pick in fantasy. Here's the line for the season. 99 catches, 1,276 yards, and 15 touchdowns. That's what Bengals opposing tight end, quote unquote, has put up. Like an all-time tight end season. 15 touchdowns just to tight ends. We expect scoring. We like the shootout. We got to play a Waller touchdown. I don't really care who's throwing to him. It's not like Tula's that good anyway. It's plus 325 for a Waller touchdown and 25-1 for 2. I got to play both of those. So Achane and Waller for the Dolphins. I've got 1 on the Bengals, but what do you think about my Dolphins?
I like them both. So I'll start with Achane first, and the good and the bad. The good, he's got 100+ rush and receiving yards in 8 straight home games. So in this type of situation, feels like the right play in the right spot. Obviously, last week in Pittsburgh in the cold, not so much. The Achane stats without Tua, a little alarming, but that's something you kind of have to get over here. If you're going to believe in Miami and believe in Quinn Ewers, this is the play to make. And then you and I think alike, and that's why I love doing this pod, because I had the same stats up here with tight ends versus Cincinnati, but this is the best one. When you look at just receiving yards this year, number 1 is Jackson Smith-Njigba at 1541, number 2 Nakua at 1367, and then it's tight ends versus Cincinnati at about 1270, 1280, depending on how you look at it. So that's how they'd be 3rd in receiving yards this year if you took all of them together. Absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, I mean, at some point you're going to get a bit of a dip up and down, but we just saw Waller catch 2 last week. So obviously the red zone threat, obviously the way they're going to go, and talk about a rookie QB in his first start. How about a really tall tight end who has tons of experience, who's great in the red zone, who you need a blanket? It makes sense to me. So what are you doing here with Cincinnati?
Yeah, Cincinnati. So look, if I think Miami can actually hang around in this game or even have a lead, then now you got Cincinnati passing, which they're going to be doing anyways, let's be honest. And I think I like Chase Brown to catch a lot of passes for them. We've played this a couple different times. He's had 6 or more receptions in half of the last 10 games now. He's had 7 or more catches 4 of the last 10. Miami is 6th most in receptions to running backs on the season. They've had 4 running backs catch 5 or more, including last week, Monday night, we just watched it. Kenny Gainwell catching all sorts of passes. He had 7. Steelers running backs had 10 catches just in that game. So if we do get negative game script here for the Bengals, that helps. We get lots of quick little dump offs there. I just think Chase Brown has a good chance to catch some passes. So just a quick little receptions escalator. I'll split my bet between 6 and 7. So 6 catches plus 350, 7 is 7-1, maybe a little touch on 8 catches at 13-1. He did do that once already this season. So nothing too fancy there. Just hopefully, I prefer T. Higgins out for this one just because there's more catches to go around that way. But I'll like it all right either way. Chase Brown, receptions escalator.
Yeah, a lot of parlay pieces here. I think you can probably combine some of these together. It looks like Higgins probably not going to play, so that will just go into your favor, and probably into your favor in terms of Burrow's targets and liking Miami and getting some offense as well. All right, that is Bengals-Dolphins. We've probably and definitely spent enough time here. Let's go to the last one before our look ahead. Sunday Night Football. You already talked about this a little bit in your pick six, but what else are you doing with Patriots-Ravens?
Yeah, so I really, this is a really fascinating game for me with the Patriots and the Ravens, two teams that I think are both a little bit overrated in the market. So I'm going to have a Patriots angle here, and then just one more for the road, my no-name prop of the week that we'll get to. So let me start with the Patriots. So they're 17th in DVOA on the season. 17th means you are below league average. For a team that has maybe the MVP still, that is still in the running for the 1 seed, they're just not quite what we have expected by their record. Even like last 6 games, still pretty much average for the season. The Ravens, they're about the same thing. Like, I think it might be time to give up the ghost on pretending the Ravens are ever going to be the Ravens again this season. They really haven't been at any point since at least September. They're 15th in DVOA, so they're actually ahead of New England. But basically, again, league average offense, average defense. Lately, the defense is a little better. The offense is getting worse. Even with Lamar Jackson back, they're bottom 5 passing DVOA last 6 weeks. So I just don't really love either of these teams. Both teams have a better run defense than passing. So it's kind of on the quarterback. So Patriots run defense has really not been great without Milton Williams. So that's a little scary. Maybe Baltimore can run. They like to go heavy. Patriots are not as good heavy. But Baltimore does allow a lot of explosives. Patriots should be able to hit down the field. And Baltimore's been worse at home, too. A little bit, probably that's Lamar Jackson missing time in some home games. But Lamar's just not right now. And in a game where I think it just comes down to who can pass better, it's hard to believe it. But, like, you pick Drake May every time right now. The way that these quarterbacks are playing, the way they look, that's not even Lamar's slander. He's not healthy. And May is just clearly the better quarterback right now. So here's how I'm going to play it. We know Lamar in his career is a first half guy, 63% ATS coming into the season. This year, 4-7 ATS in the first half. He has not been good. Baltimore, bottom 10 offense in the first half on the season. The Patriots, we just did it last week, first half team. They are 11-3 ATS in the first half. They are the number 2 offense by DVOA. They come out strong. And Mike Vrabel, you like him as a big underdog, as a dog of 3 or more, winning record straight up, 22-20, 65% ROI on the money line. But the money line's like plus 130. So all that work to say, oh, okay, I guess just Patriots with a little bit of extra juice for our trouble. Well, if I like the Patriots, I'm going to like them early, and I'm going to want them to hang on to the lead, not play from behind as much, because the Ravens offense has been pretty good with the lead, actually, but quite bad without it. They're a front-running team, and that makes sense if you think about what they do well and don't do well right now. So I want Patriots first half, but I want Patriots full game too. So Patriots halftime, full time is plus 240. You play them both together, and unlike last week, let's keep the lead. Now 21-0, keep it rolling. Just pile on the points. Maybe this may be a Drake May MVP bet. We'll see what happens with the game tonight and where Stafford and the Rams end up. That might be a way to invest in the Patriots as well. This is probably the last chance, because then it's Jets and Dolphins after that. This is the spot, Sunday night, where we're all watching to go get the one big game. Maybe that's the play. I can't give that now because we don't know where Stafford is at. So Patriots halftime, Patriots full-time, plus 240.
Yeah, I get it, and a lot of difference of opinions here. I've heard some Ravens this week. I've heard some Patriots. So in terms of the handicap itself, I think everyone kind of has their own opinion. But if you look at it from New England's standpoint and the bets that you've made, I mean, listen, Baltimore is 2-12 first half team total over this year. worse than the NFL, worse than the Raiders. That is honestly unbelievable, even with the games that Lamar has played. And then this one kind of surprised me, and this is the trumper here. Vrabel in his career, 49-14 full games straight up when he leads at the half. That makes sense. When he's an underdog full game and he leads at the half, he's 20-10. So that is a guy who is an underdog entering the game, leading at the half, and keeping his foot on the pedal. Super, super impressive. And we know the stats. You mentioned it about how good he is full game as a dog, but that to me kind of trumps it. 10 games above 500. Guy is holding on. So I do like New England if they can get the lead.
All right, let me give you my final prop here before our look ahead. I'm going with a guy that, I'll be honest, I knew almost nothing about like a month ago. And then I'm watching last week, watching the Ravens get the shutout, and I see Rasheen Ali catching a 30-yard pass for a touchdown. And here we are. Give me Rasheen Ali receptions escalator. So this is a Ravens running back. Derrick Henry obviously is the guy there. I think Derrick Henry might finally be slowing down. He's only played 82 snaps the last 3 games, 45% snap rate for him. So that's what caught my eye. Where are the snaps going? Well, Keaton Mitchell gets like 10 of them a game. Ravens fans would love that to double or triple, but it's not happening yet. Justice Hill was getting like 15 or 20 snaps. He's on IR now. I think Rasheen Ali is replacement for Justice Hill, which means he's the third down back. Last 3 games for Ali, 29, 27, and 11 snaps. Now 11 is last week, but they had 24-0. He's the third down back. He's the pass catching guy. You don't play that guy a lot when you're ahead by a lot. You're just trying to run the clock out. But that 3-game stretch most recently, that's only 15 snaps less than Derrick Henry. So 5 snaps a game less than the guy that we know is the workhorse. And I think Ali is going to be out there, especially, we like the script here, if the Patriots are ahead early, that sets up a Ravens passing script, and their snaps have been unpredictable. Rasheen Ali actually led the Ravens running backs in snaps in one of these recent weeks. So the Patriots, weird split on the season. Second fewest fantasy points allowed, but third most receptions allowed to running backs. They've allowed 6 running back receptions in over half their games this season, including 8, 9, 9, and 11. So could we meet Marshall's sophomore Rasheen Ali on Sunday night? We don't have to pay much to find out. 2 receptions. That's what I want. Just 2. 2 catches, which he's done twice in the last month, plus 155. And then we're taking the escalator. 3 catches for Rasheen Ali, plus 450. 4 for 11-1. And then last week he had a 30-yard catch I mentioned. 30 yards or more, plus 850. And 40 yards or more, 15-1. Those are the highest lines I can find. I think there's a world where if the Ravens actually are trailing, he could catch like 5-6 passes even. I can't even bet numbers that are high enough there. I haven't found them out there. So we just want to get 2-3 catches, get some catches out there, maybe bust a bit of a longer one. But I think Rasheen Ali is going to be on the field a lot more than Ravens fans prefer, to be honest. But we prefer him to catch a couple passes while he's out there. And he's our no-name guy of the week. Not a tight end this week, but we'll take a 4th-string running back instead, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, but you're right. Like Ravens' last 2 games in terms of routes, he's got more than Keaton Mitchell, more than Derrick Henry. The guy has 26 routes in their last 2 games. I mean, that is a ton when you're talking about trying to get just 2 receptions, especially if you think the Ravens are going to be trailing in this one, which kind of goes with your game script. All right, let's keep rolling here. The look ahead to Week 17, 2 weeks to go.
Yeah, so we're going to Saturday and we're sticking back with the Ravens. We just talked about it. I'm going to fade the Ravens again next week by taking Packers -3 in Green Bay against the Ravens. It's the Saturday night game. And this really is not even about the matchup or the Packers. This is about a weird scheduling quirk. So if Pittsburgh loses to Detroit, we started with that one. We expect that to happen. And if Baltimore wins Sunday night, I know we just bet against that scenario happening, but we admitted it's a pretty coin flippy sort of game. If the Ravens win and the Steelers lose, Week 17 is meaningless for both games, like 100% nothing. The entire thing comes down to Week 18 in Pittsburgh. So if that happens, guess what? The Ravens' bye week was Week 7. They so badly could use a second bye week. Lamar Jackson a week off, Derrick Henry an extra week before a huge game, Kyle Hamilton, Ronnie Stanley. Like, I can't believe that those guys would just play a full roster out there for a meaningless game. I think there's a chance Baltimore. We could get like a week 18 type scenario where they're just like, hey, we're basically in a playoff game next week against Pittsburgh. Let's just bench everybody and try again next week. So, look, I don't really want to invest a lot in the Packers with Parsons out. We've talked a lot about that. But the game definitely matters for them. Either they beat the Bears Saturday and then they're playing for the division here, or they lose the Bears and they got to win to make the playoffs. So they're going to try in this game. And I think similar to what we just said with the Patriots, pick the quarterback you like. And I like Jordan Love better than Lamar Jackson right now. So even if the Ravens do show up in this game and have to try, I still like the Packers. I make it -4. We get the key number here. If some of these guys sit, especially Lamar Jackson, we're looking at like 7, 10, like who knows what the number will be in that case. So trying to get out ahead, we can either win this the easy way if everybody sits, or I still like it the hard way too. So get out ahead, Packers -3, and a little bonus. Look, if the game doesn't matter for Baltimore, it doesn't matter for Pittsburgh either. The Steelers play the Browns next week. The Browns don't really want to win either, but the Steelers would actually kind of prefer to lose that game and hurt the Browns' draft position theoretically. So a little extra nibble and a rare escalator on the look ahead. Packers -3, Browns money line on the parlay, on the just get every starter out of here, Pittsburgh and Baltimore, +407. These are correlated results because they correlate to results that we think might happen this weekend. We can play it for next week. Packers, Browns, money line parlay, 407.
Yeah, the fun thing about that is it doesn't matter if you have that other 22-1 bet. If Cleveland loses this week, you're rooting for them to lose to get the first pick, and you can be hitting your parlay as well. So a little bit of both sides. You have no idea what Cleveland's bringing to the table, especially if Miles doesn't get the record this week. So we will see how it goes. All right. That'll do it here on the Action Network podcast for our NFL Week 16 Best Bets episode presented by DraftKings. If you want instant notifications when action experts track their bets, just go to actionnetwork.com/pro. Use a promo code POD20 for $20 off a year of Action Pro. If you haven't yet, check out our new AI Quick Slip bot on X. Just tag Playbook, add Playbook, tell it to grab whatever bet you're looking for, and it'll create a Quick Slip link for you in a matter of seconds. And again, if you want to tail some of the bets we gave out today, make sure to look for the Quick Slip link in the podcast and video description. Go to actionnetwork.com/bet now. We will be back Sunday night for our NFL recap show that'll be live on Action Network's YouTube page shortly after Ravens and Patriots. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the slate. Good luck with all your bets this weekend, and cherish the slate 3 left.